Hey, y'all. Patrick here with Vetted. Thank you guys so much for joining. You've seen the thumbnail. You've seen the title. Let's just jump into this, right? So there's a gentleman named James T. Lacatski who has claimed that the government is in possession of the craft and we have breached the craft. We have gotten inside of it. We're going to find out who that person is, what they're talking about, and give more context. So where did this happen? What's going on, Patrick? Let's jump in. Let me tell you everything we're going to look at, and then we'll start going through it. So that's one thing we're going to look at, but that's not the first thing. This is the clip we're going to be taking a look at. It's a Weaponized Podcast. Jeremy Corbell, who's a UFO researcher and filmmaker, and George Knapp, an investigative journalist out of Las Vegas, and also a UFO researcher. And they're discussing a book that these three guys right here wrote. This is James Lacatski. This is Colm Kelleher. Again, we're going to find out who these two guys are because they wrote a book. These three right here, George Knapp, James Lacatski, Colm Kelleher, they wrote a book. So these two guys worked on a program, and we're going to find out more about that program. But first, we need to get to the meaty part. Then we'll dissect it all. So we're going to be going over a tweet from Jeremy Corbell. We're, again, going to be watching this clip. It's about 10 minutes, but I promise you it's worth it all. Not just a short clip that's floating around on Twitter. This gives just a lot more context. We're going to be taking a look at a clip from a Bob Lazar interview on Joe Rogan. And if you haven't heard of Bob Lazar, please Google him. But basically, real quick, he's a whistleblower that came out in the late 80s about Area 51, and he claimed to secretly work on craft and see, UFOs and that sort of thing, and blew the whistle on Area 51. So we're also going to be taking a look at a clip from a Vetted video that I made when we first launched the channel, basically about 3 months ago. It's just very interesting, some stuff in there that's now coming back, to give more context. So first, let's start with this clip, right? Again, we're going to be taking a look at Aero. We're going to be taking a look at Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. We're going to be taking a look at Advanced Aerospace Weapon System Applications Program. We're going to be taking a look at the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. Again, more information about James T. Lacatski, more information about Colm, that's what they call him, Kelleher, and a lot of stuff to get through. You're probably wondering, what is all that stuff? I promise I'll explain. Let's start with the clip. Let's jump in.
One particular UFO design that gets discussed in the book that you reveal, and if you blink, you'll miss it. But it's maybe the most controversial and important piece of information that this book conveys. You say something at the beginning of chapter 9 about a craft of unknown origin that our government finally accessed the inside. Can you share with us what's in the book, and is there anything else you can add to that?
So they got this book, okay, and I'm not here to get into all of that of pushing books and that sort of thing. That's just another conversation for another day. But basically, they're on here promoting a book, and it's just in this book, right? Randomly that they got in this craft, and they can get inside of it. And Jeremy Corbell's about to really break that down a little bit. I'll give it to Jeremy Corbell. He is pushing back in this interview. He's doing a good job, in my opinion. Okay, so it's just very interesting, all of this. So again, I'm gonna tell you guys who these two are if you don't know already. But let's just jump in.
Well, what's in the book is an exact statement of the event that occurred in a congressional facility. There was more to it, considerably more to that discussion about what this situation was. We can't go into that because it's. And when I mean Colm and I, yes, we know about it. People are interested in it, I'm quite sure.
Yeah, we're interested in it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy that this gets to go in a book, but not testify before Congress, right? David Grush also went through DOPSR, which is what he's getting ready to talk about. Basically, like, you can only talk about that, DOPSR, right? It's a part within the government that if you're trying to release something, you got to send it to them first, and then they'll review it and make sure it's okay. It doesn't reveal anything classified or anything like that. It has nothing to do if it's truthful or not, okay? And David Grush brings that up in the hearing as well, which I'll give it to David Grush. I respect him for saying that. And they went through the same thing because they worked on a program, right, for the U.S. government. Just a little context. They worked on a program called the Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Applications Program, okay, which studied, UFOs and the paranormal. And yeah, so again, I'm going to put links to all of this stuff so you can check it out. This particular document is right here, solicitation for them to get, small business, to help them with their contract, right? So they get permission from the government, and now they got to go find a company that can help them facilitate what they want, right? And there's a law basically within the U.S. government that you have to offer it to smaller businesses first, and then from there you can go to a larger business. But it's to supposedly to even it out. But anyway, that's what that is. So this was 3-4 programs ago of UFO studies, basically, right? Like, you had this one. Then after this is ATIP, where Lou Elizondo worked, okay? So the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, right? So AAWSAP, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. Then you had the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force, which is what David Grush worked on. And then you have Aero now, okay? And we all know Aero, All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, right? That's the current one. So this is 3-4 ago, right? And these guys are getting ready to say some crazy stuff.
Security has to trump everything else. A lot of things can be said. This book, as was Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, I keep flashing the book, basically was reviewed by the Department of Defense for release and approved the wording that's in it, the wording. If we varied that wording, we'd get back. This was a 7-month review. This was quick. DOD on Skinwalkers at the Pentagon took 14 months to.
So that's the book they had before this, right? Where they teased out some stuff. Now they got a new book teasing out stuff. And he even talks about another book coming out. Well, they'll be able to tease out more stuff. So, why can't they just give it all to us? I don't know. You guys tell me in the comments. Let me know what you think.
Review that book. There was, I agreed with all of the changes on both of these books. I agreed with, except for one. I made the fatal mistake of complimenting the help from a non-DOD organization. And it was, whoa, we can't do that. We've got to align that out. And so that was the.
But go ahead and talk about the UFO that we're secretly hiding. That's okay. Right? Like,
only thing that was a straight line out. DOD helped us reword things by their security regulations. And so you're getting as much as we can say. Jeremy,
okay,
this is where Jeremy comes in. He's doing a good job. Again, them getting their book reviewed has nothing to do with its legitimacy, right? If it's truthful or not. I just want to reiterate that.
Hold on. So for our audience.
So Jeremy's about to read at the actual portion from the book. This is important, and I'm glad he did this.
Listeners, George just dropped an atom bomb because it was dropped in the book. So audience is just listening. I'm going to read you something. Beginning of chapter 9. At the conclusion of a 2011 meeting in the Capitol building with a U.S. senator and an agency undersecretary, Lacatski, the only one of the book's authors present, posed a question. But this is where it gets good. He stated, meaning you, Dr. Lacatski, that the United States was in possession of a craft of unknown origin and had successfully gained access to its interior. This craft had a streamlined configuration suitable for aerodynamic flight, but no intakes, exhaust, wings, or control surfaces. In fact, it appeared not to have an engine, fuel tanks, or fuel. Now, there's a next part, which I'll read in a minute, but what this is you're officially allowed to tell us that the United States government has in its possession a craft of unknown origin and you were able to access the inside. Is that correct?
The wording that you read is correct. You're going beyond the wording.
No.
Beyond the wording. Pardon us for doing that, wanting that information. Like, what does he expect people to do with this information? Right? He wants people to go buy this book. Does the government get a take of this book? How is that he's allowed to come out and talk about it? It must not be actually classified, right? If he's able to talk about that, right? He's talking about a meeting he had, not the crap, right? So he's talking about a meeting that he had in a congressional office, right, as he's putting it, with people. So he's just talking about things he said to someone. That's it. Right? In that. He's not, it's sort of in my opinion, it's sort of a way of getting around of talking about the actual craft. Right? Because you can put anything in a book. You can just say, I went and had this meeting and told these people I found a gold pot at the end of a rainbow. Right? And then put that in the book and then say, see, there's a gold pot at the end of the rainbow. I hope y'all get my drift. Again, I'm not saying this isn't true. I'm just saying it doesn't add up. Right? And that it gets to go in a book that you sell, and it just seems very, God, I don't want to use this word, but it seems a little shady. I'm just saying my BS meter's going off. I don't know about for y'all. Do I want that to be true? Yes, that would be so awesome. I mean, come on. That would be awesome. But gosh, we can't put these people on pedestals, y'all. Right? Nobody's a hero or a villain or anything. It's just, we have to hold them true to their word. Let's continue.
I'm asking you, did that meeting happen? And is it true? And it's true.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so you're
now he's saying, did that meeting happen? And is it true? He's saying yes, but I don't know if James Lacatski is hearing that other part. I'll be honest with you, right? Because the very beginning of this whole interview, Jeremy Corbell talks about technical difficulties with the audio, right? And there's just some fishy going on.
telling us, you told us, because you were allowed to tell us, that our government has a UFO in its possession and has been able to access the inside of it, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, he did clarify there. So he's saying, yes, we have that. So you can say that. And that's not classified? What are we if it's not classified, then talk about it more. I don't understand. Like, you can't just come out and talk about classified stuff, even if you get it reviewed through DOPSR. Right? It's not how that works. So, again, it's just not adding up. And if it's not classified, then what are we doing? Why aren't we talking about it? So you can put it in a book and sell it? It just seems shady. Just don't get it.
I was allowed to tell you, let me show the back of the book. This is
I know, but hold up. George, will you translate,
yeah,
George?
All right, let's try another tack. How do we know it's a craft and not a doorstop? We accessed it. It has no engine. It has no wings, no.
So he says a craft of unknown origin. What does that mean? That just means you don't know where it's from. It could be Russia, it could be China, it could be ours, it could be that you don't know, right?
Fuel, it doesn't. We don't know that it travels. Do we know it's a craft or it's just a rock?
George, you're going into the further discussion that occurred that day.
All right.
We can't go there. But let me tell you, we're going to try to cover that in the future. But it's
in another book.
Delicate. It makes the technology described in here look.
Here, look at the title. Inside the U.S. government covert UFO program, initial revelations. All right, so part 1 of 25, I guess. Sorry, don't mean to be salty. It's just, let's get our story straight here. Like, what are we saying? And this is a smart guy, okay? Let's take a look at who he is. James T. Lacatski, okay? It's actually hard to find a lot of information about him. When you Google him, it actually just comes up writer, author. That's it. James T. Lacatski, this is from Coast to Coast website. This is the best bio I could find on him. Was the Defense Intelligence Agency program manager, contracting officer representative, security coordinator, and counterintelligence coordinator for the Advanced Aerospace Weapon System Applications Program, otherwise known as AAWSAP, a $22 million UFO research effort. Jim has a BS, MS, and doctorate, I think DENG, I'm not sure what that is, in nuclear engineering with expertise in fusion plasmas and directed energy weapons. In 2007, Jim met Robert Bigelow and Senator Harry Reid, leading to the start of AAWSAP in 2008. So that's an important date as well. In 2008, AAWSAP was started. Earlier in the interview, which I'm actually going to make another video about AAWSAP and ATIP, so I don't want to get into that. But I'm going to make another video because they talk about that in this, and it's very interesting about how that all lines up, and ATIP as well. But anyway, he's not, he's a smart guy, right? And the other guy that hasn't spoken up, who doesn't speak really through this whole thing, he was the program manager of AAWSAP, the Advanced Aerospace System Weapons Applications Program. Okay, and this guy's got a PhD in biochemistry. He's a very, very smart guy. He's got all kinds of, degrees, and, he's definitely a smart guy. And it's got a great bio. You'll be able to look him up. Simon & Schuster has him here. Look, he's a biochemist, 15-year research career in cell and molecular biology, following his PhD in biochemistry from the University of Dublin, Trinity College in 1983. Kelleher worked at the Ontario Cancer Institute, the Terry Fox Cancer Research Laboratory, and the National Jewish Center for Immunology and Respiratory Medicine. For the past 8 years, he's worked as a project manager and team leader at a private research institute using forensic science mythology to unravel scientific anomalies. So this was the first book that they had, Hunt for the Skinwalker. Then they had Skinwalker at the Pentagon. I don't know how many, whatever they got going on. But anyway, again, I'm going to put links to all this so you can figure it out. Go down the rabbit hole of who these guys are and what they're claiming, okay? But again, they're smart guys, okay? Let's go back to that clip.
Why is it delicate? Why is this topic that the United States government has a UFO in its possession and we've been reverse engineering it? You've done admitted it. Why is it delicate?
You've done admit it. So just trying to get that on the record, right, that happened. We have a UFO. We've been reverse engineering it. One UFO? Let's pay attention to that. And it's a delicate situation, right? But you can't talk about it. But you can say that. on this podcast on Weaponized? Well, because George Knapp helped write the book, and he's also part of it, which it's interesting because George Knapp's name on it, and he tells James Lacatski, hey, you wrote here in chapter 9. Well, I love George Knapp, but what are we talking about? What did you do in the book? What did he do? Did they split up the chapters? I don't know. I'm so confused.
The details. I'm old school. I won't use the term adversary, competitor as the way we describe. We are surrounded, maybe not surrounded, but hopefully not so, by our enemies. And our enemies, you can be sure they're listening to this show right now. You can be sure that they were monitoring.
They're listening to this show. Weaponized? Are they watching this show? What enemies?
AAWSAP. You can be sure that perhaps they had employees.
He said, you can be sure that perhaps. Again, these are smart guys, but this stuff doesn't make sense.
Hopefully not in GIA, but in the contractor part, we're giving out information.
So the contractor they got, who was Bigelow, okay, Robert Bigelow, potentially had adversaries working for him that were leaking information to our enemies. Why would you pick them then to work with AAWSAP, right? So he got Robert Bigelow's company to help him with AAWSAP, right? That's the company they got that's the company they gave the $22 million to and said, hey, do this for us. Again, I'm going to make another video about AAWSAP and ATIP and how that all connects and overlaps. And there's just a lot of confusion there.
I know that. So the thing is we can't say anything more than what we've been approved to say. And there's insight to this, but I want to shift it just slightly, but it shows.
Yeah, we get you want to shift it. What do y'all think? Is this adding up? Am I reading too much into this? Should I just be excited? We got the UFO. Let's go, Patrick. Come on. I don't know. Tell me. Am I overthinking this?
My point. Skinwalkers at the Pentagon and Initial Revelations, if I might use the shorter title on this new book, has not what I would call zingers in it.
So, okay, you know what? Just play this.
But has some interesting doors that have not been even mentioned. One, why was this program started? Two, why was this program ended? And we've raised this partially in Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. Did it end?
Did it end? Yeah, it did. Because they went to ATIP, as I showed you. Okay. They went to ATIP here. All right. That program began in 2007, right? It ended in 2012. Now, if you remember correctly, it was stated, where did I have it? AAWSAP started in 2008. So I guess there was an overlap there with both of these. And again, I'm going to make a longer video on it, but earlier in the Weaponized podcast, James Lacatski claims that it only took them 2 years. They finished their research in 2 years. So theirs ended in 2010. Then ATIP ends in 2012. Then you got, again, the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. This is the immediate press release, right? 2020. And then Aero was started a couple years ago, right? Got the website here with Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. Well, actually 1 year ago, right? July 2022, right here. Its establishment, 2022. So, yeah, it ended and other programs started. Well, what's he saying? That AAWSAP continued privately, secretly? I don't know.
had a chapter in Skinwalkers at the Pentagon where we met with a high-level Brazilian official at a meeting, started introducing some of our cohorts, and no one ever asked us, why did you have that meeting?
Maybe no one cared. I don't know. Again, it's like it can all come out in these books that you're allowed to come and make money on. Right? That's how the disclosure happens. That's how this comes out. It doesn't make any sense to me. Again, I'm not saying these are evil guys or nefarious guys. Don't think there's anything wrong with going on a podcast to promote your book. My other podcast, Lone Star Blade, I've had lots of authors come on and promote their books. Now, granted, a lot of them are fiction books, right? They're promoting their stuff. Some of them are nonfiction, like biographies and stuff like that. But it's just interesting. Are they blowing the whistle? Right? Is that what they're doing? Are they blowing the whistle on this? Or why leak this information to us? What is the point? Is it to sell the book or to give us information? Right? Again, show me the incentives. I keep saying this, and I'll show you the outcome. So what is the incentive? Is it the money? Is it to sell this book that he keeps flashing over and over again and mentioning the other books? And I just don't understand what's going on. I'm so confused.
What was so important about that meeting? You know, there's a lot of material in there that, as Kit Green, Dr. Kit Green, one of our consultants on the AAWSAP program, said, read between the lines.
Read between the lines of my new book. I don't understand. Why do we need to read between the lines? Right? Kit Green, what do y'all think of him? Let me know what you guys, if you know who he is, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't have time to get into all these people, y'all.
That applies both to Skinwalkers at the Pentagon and Initial Revelations. Read between the lines. Now, you may come to the wrong conclusions, and I can tell you on the topics I just read, you don't have enough information to come to the correct.
So read between the lines, but whatever you come up with will be incorrect because you don't have enough information, because you're going to give us that in the next book, right? Like, what are we talking about here?
Answers.
Okay, so why? Sorry, go ahead, George.
Go ahead, Jeremy. Go ahead.
So why? Why did you're asking one big question people should ask?
We're almost done here with this clip.
Ask is, why was the UFO program started? Maybe you can't tell the full story, but give us a hint. Why was the UFO program started? You said that's important.
I can't do that without documenting more and getting approval.
For a book. You realize he could do like what David Grush did, which is get a DOPSer to be able to talk about these certain things or give interviews, right? That is also possible. But look, I mean, I guess people got to get that paycheck. I don't know, man.
I mean, can I assume?
I just can't do that. I know, Jeremy, you and I have met previously several times, and you want the bottom line. But the bottom line...
And I don't blame Jeremy Corbell for wanting that. Right? I agree with Jeremy Corbell on that. All right, let's get to the bottom line. Absolutely. I get it.
Let me just give you, the bottom line may not be
I bet Jeremy
what you anticipate.
You know what? It's almost... Look, I bet Jeremy Corbell is secretly absolutely frustrated with this stuff. Happy that they're going to make that statement, but super frustrated as well.
In other words, there may be no bottom line. There may be multiple bottom lines. And
there's just a lot of like conjecture, right? Just a lot of maybes and this and that, and I don't know, get my book, try to read between the lines.
We've got a lot of work. If Arrow is going to move forward from this point, they've got a lot more work to do.
Why don't you give them this work, right? I've got a clip coming up that's quite interesting. So let's stay tuned here.
One of the questions that you posed to us just now was, why was the program started? Okay, you can't answer that. But another question you're saying people should ask is, why did you do all the defense intelligence reference documents? So can you answer that? Why did you do all those defense intelligence reference documents?
And the answer is no. I can't answer that, because that would be an answer that would just floor people.
There's some of those technical difficulties, but that would just floor people. It's a lot of teases and stuff like that. Just not a fan of this, guys. Not a fan of this approach. This is why I don't want to interview these type of guys. There's just no way I'd be able to handle it. I couldn't. I don't want to interview these guys. I want to make videos like this about this for y'all. So anyway, let's jump ahead to this. Again, nothing against Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, Weaponized, great podcast. Nothing against those guys. So let's jump in to this tweet, actually, okay, from Jeremy Corbell, right? And I hope you're still with me here, okay? This is important. So he says, CNN piece on Aero is funny, right? Aero released their yearly report, and CNN did an article on it. And he's saying it's funny because in there they're claiming there is no craft or anything. We don't have anything, right? So in contrast, we have the head of the DIA UFO program on record this past Monday admitting and confirming we have a UFO in our possession and are actively exploiting it and have breached the interior. Now, granted, this is different, right? Aero is different than what these guys did, what AAWSAP did. Right? AAWSAP got a private contractor. They were like, hey, we want to look into some stuff. And they're like, okay, here's some money. And they went and find a contractor and right outside of the government to do this. Aero is started from within the government. Right? So it's a different type of program. But down below, this person said, he said A, which means one. David Grush said we have 12 to 15 of them. The two dudes should get together and come up with a number. And then Jeremy says Dr. Lacatski was talking about one UFO that he was authorized to discuss via DOPSR. It has zero correlation to how many crash retreats, or I think he means retrievals or something, or exploitation programs we might have within our DOD. It's a frustrating game sussing all of this out, but it is worthy of your attention. So you can decide that if it's worthy of your attention. But I thought this was interesting. So let's go to this clip from Bob Lazar.
The metal, I did get a chance to look inside the craft on only one occasion. And this was important because where the reactor sat might have been critical to how it operated, since everything operates without any interconnection, so the placement of components might be critical. So they allowed me to go inside and look at it.
So again, they're saying they got this craft with element 115, and he gets to go inside of it. So they've clearly breached the interior. It had a thing you could open up and get inside of it, right? And Bob Lazar claimed to have seen several craft lined up. One was even crashed. It looked like it had been shot down. You should watch this whole interview, right? So clearly that one was breached inside as well. Is everyone just getting access to different craft? And that's what's happening? I guess that is a possibility. But it's just interesting that because Jeremy Corbell believes Bob Lazar, right? I'm at this moment indifferent. I'm going to make a video about Bob Lazar. But at this point, I'm indifferent. And it's interesting. But why is he talking about this craft?
Again, I forgot where the hell I am.
So you're going into this craft, and what are you thinking when you're inside of it? Like, what are you seeing?
It's a very ominous feeling because there are no, first of all, everything is one color. It's like a dark pewter color, and there are no right angles anywhere. It's as if somebody took, I've said this before, somebody took a model and fashioned it out of wax and then heated it just for a short time so everything melted. Everything looks like it's fused together. Everything has a radius of curvature where two items meet. It's a really weird looking thing, but there was almost nothing other than a small foldable hatchway that looked recognizable. Everything was,
which is how he got in the craft.
Was really unworldly, to pick on it, a way to describe it.
So you get inside this thing, and it's designed for something that's much smaller than a human being.
Yeah, you can't really stand up till you get to the very center of it.
And how tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
And what do you think this was designed for?
I'd say something close to half my height.
Wow.
So again, they go on to describe more about this craft. I do recommend this interview. It is quite fascinating. You know, wherever you sit with Bob Lazar, it's a fascinating interview, and he tells a fascinating story. Now, whether or not it's true or not, I don't know. But Jeremy Corbell believes it's true, right? And now he also believes these guys on the Weaponized podcast as well that are talking. So, remember this guy? Let's go back to this. This guy right here. He hasn't spoken up at all, right? Let me show you this clip. Let's continue. This is interesting. So just keep watching on this. Does the United States have a crashed UFO?
The United States is in possession of exotic material.
Let's hear from some current and former heads of the UAP task force to find out what they think. Here's our first clip.
Does our government have downed UFOs from unknown origin that they've been trying and are trying to reverse engineer and exploit those technologies to understand the physics and understand that technology? Do we have that to work with?
I can't talk about that, but the answer is yes.
That's interesting. So you have Colm Kelleher, former head of the UAP task force, confirming that we are reverse engineering advanced alien spacecraft. This is quite a bombshell. And what was the name of the UAP task force he was the head of? It was called AAWSAP, which stands for Advanced Aerospace Weapons Applications Program. One of the many UAP task force you'll learn about. On April 19th, 2023, U.S. congressional hearing was held. And Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, who is the current head of the UAP task force, said this.
I should also state clearly for the record that in our research, Aero has found no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity, off-world technology, or objects that defy the known laws of physics.
So we have the former head of the UAP task force saying we do have downed alien spacecraft. Then you have the current head of the UAP task force saying we don't. But it gets even more interesting.
So look, I think we all want to know, do you think any government has recovered a crashed UAP?
So what I've said for the record, which is unfortunately all I can say, is that it is my belief that the United States is in possession of exotic material, and unfortunately, that's about all I can say at this time.
Wow, they don't make it easy. So anyway, right? So Colm Kelleher already came out. That's episode number 12 of Weaponized. Okay. Again, I'm gonna put links to all of this so you can watch all these clips and videos and everything. And there's so much to go down, guys. It's like you see one thing and you start digging in, and you just got to start picking through all this stuff to find out what holds, right? What did they say before? Why is this guy saying this, right? So why is Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick saying, no, we don't have anything, right? But Colm Kelleher is allowed to say, yeah, we have something, right? And you get it in my book, right? And then they tease it out in this new book, right? More about it. And then because that's really why he couldn't talk more about it. It's because this book was coming out. It needed to be reviewed, right? And then you've got Luis Elizondo, who ran ATIP, right? We looked at that, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, saying we have exotic material, right? I don't know what that means, exotic material. Like, again, it's so confusing, y'all. I don't know what to say. And then you got David Grush, right, coming out and saying, we've got many craft. Tons. But who testified before Congress, y'all? Who's selling books? David Grush is testifying before Congress under oath. That's where our focus should be, y'all. Not these other players. That's my opinion. That's just my opinion. So again, y'all tell me what you guys think in the comments. I'm curious what y'all are going to say about this. I don't know. I don't know what to think. I'm confused by it all, and I just want answers. But again, my focus is going to be on David Grush and the evidence he's going to provide. He already has provided, and they just won't do anything with it. I don't blame David Grush. He's doing his part. But some of these other people, just shady. I mean, what if I had someone come on Vetted was like, yeah, we got to crash crap, and it's like, yep, there we go, guys. No, I don't think that's where this information should go, and I don't think it should be going in books and documentaries and stuff. We need to be going before putting it on the record, right? Testifying before Congress and putting it on the record. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about all this. Can't wait to hear y'all's comments and what you think if you made it this far. If you like this video and you like my content, please hit the like button. That definitely helps out a lot. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I release a video every day, 12 p.m. Central, about this stuff, right? Diving deep further into the stuff, asking questions. So join me every day for a brand new video. We'll see you guys next time. I'm Patrick with Vetted. Remember, every day's a gift.